When it comes to what is happening behind the curtain of 3D games, we talk about basic theory and PBR, so now it's time to try something practical. Today we are making a quick video on creating a basic 3D scene where you can walk around. It's simple and accessible. We'll be using Godot 4, so let's jump in. We'll go step by step through building a simple 3D environment, adding physics, lighting and player movement. Thinking about it, maybe it won't be a short video in the end. First, I've imported my favorite texture pack and the model, which we'll use in the scene. Both of them are in the description. I also have an image we'll use later to add a sky. To begin, let's create a basic 3D scene. I'll add a child node as CSGBox 3D. As you can see, a small box appears in the scene. I'll scale it up by setting its size to 10x10, effectively turning it into a floor. Let's rename it to floor for clarity and change its color. To define the boundaries of our scene, I'll add walls. So again, we are going to create a new CSGBox 3D and name it Wall 1. We are going to set its X scale to 10 and Z position to 5. Duplicate it and move it 5 units other direction. Now I see it would be better to make our walls 11 meters long instead of 10. Repeat this process for the other walls to fully enclose our space. And just like that, we have the basic structure of our environment. This is called Greyboxing, and in game dev, we use it to sketch how our scene or level will look. Now, let's bring in an object for some interaction. I'll add a rigid body 3D node and import an ancient pod model. After placing it in the scene, I adjust its transform and scale. One important step, this pod currently has no collision detection, meaning it will fall right through the floor. Don't forget to operate with the pod node and not its children, such as Ancient Pod 1. To fix this, select the pod, click Mesh, choose Create Collision Shape, use Single Convex. Now, when we run the scene and save the project, we see nothing. At this point, we don't see anything because we are missing camera. Let's fix that. Add camera 3D node and adjust its position to get a good view of the scene. Now when we run the project, we can see the pod falling correctly. However, it fell through the floor. The reason? We didn't specify collisions for the environment. To fix this, select the floor and all walls and enable the Use Collision checkbox. This is one advantage of using CSG boxes. Setting things up is fast and easy. Next, let's enhance our scene by adding sunlight. Insert the directional light 3D node. Move it slightly and possibly adjust the lighting angle. The movement doesn't actually change anything since only the direction matters, but I like to have it visually a little further from my environment. The scene looks much better with proper shadows and highlights. Now let's add a playable character. We are going to add a character body 3D node. Add a mesh instance 3D to give it a shape and choose capsule mesh. Add a collision shape 3D and set it to capsule as well. Don't forget, we need both. The mesh is the visual representation of the player. The collision shape is what the engine used for physics-based computations and similar things. I'll reposition the player above the floor. The capsule is 2 meters tall, so its center should be 1 meter above the floor. Let's make our scene look nicer by adding materials. First the pot. You can hide its collision shape to see the mesh better. I talk about materials in my PBR video if you need a refresher, but for now we are going to assign albedo, roughness, normal map and ambient occlusion map. The same goes for the player, but this time using materials from peeling painted metal. For this material we want some metallicity, so we'll use a metallic map as well. Now to refine the lighting and make it look more real, add environment settings and open it. Add a PanoramaSkyMaterial and use the sky texture for a realistic background. You'll notice everything got way too much light, so let's tweak it. A quick way is to decrease the sky contribution under ambient light. Now is a good time to tweak the texture maps as well. By adjusting the multipliers, you can polish the visuals as you like. Godot 4 introduced the Jolt physics engine, which improves collisions and performance. To enable it, open Project Settings, navigate to 3D Physics Engine, select Jolt, and you'll be prompted to restart Godot, so go ahead and do it. Look at how much more realistic the physics interactions are. To make the player move, create a new script for Character Body 3D and select the template if it's not selected already. And that's it. Now we can move around the scene using arrow keys and press space to jump. Well, there's still one thing missing. It would be nice if we could push the pod. Let's fix that. The key lies in the collision component. Layers define which group an object belongs to, whereas masks define which groups the objects interact with. For example, 1 could be environment, 2 player, 3 props. We need to keep environment for both. Set player for the player, set props for the props, and allow props to interact with the player. Look at that! Beautiful! For the last step, let's talk about camera perspectives. Right now we have a static camera, but changing it to dynamic third-person camera that follows the player is super easy. Just drag and drop the camera into player node. That's really it. For a real game we would define it further, but for now this demonstrates the principle. A first-person camera is similar, just adjust the position relative to the player and we are done. At least for now. And that's it! We've built a simple 3D scene, added physics, lighting and even a controllable player. Time to experiment and take it further. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and want to see more in the future, hit the subscribe button. See you next time.